I'm going to give you an example of the flipped classroom philosophy, and for this example, as you can see, I'm going to be using these items, Prezi.com, which in my opinion gives you a nice canvas to create what you want, and it allows you to show the students exactly what you want them to see. I'm also using Screencast-O-Matic, which allows me to record what I'm doing on the screen with the mouse. And then I'm also using a microphone so that the students will be able to hear my explanation of things. Alright, so for this flipped example, I'm using these three items. So we're going to start with our topic. For this flipped example, I'm going to use the Manor system. In ancient civilization, when we learned about the medieval times, the Manor system is a major part of that time period. So in my class, and this is an example that I actually used, I'm going to teach my kids about the Manor system through this flipped method, and then in class we will be working on the activity. So for this particular flipped activity, I want the students to watch this, and as I take them through what the Manor system is, I want them to write down all the parts of the Manor system and kind of why they have what they do in this system. Okay, so I would continue on. First I'm going to start with this. This is just a picture of a river. So I'm going to start with nothing, and then I'm going to slowly add all the items to the Manor system. The river is very important to this Manor system, so I'm going to start with just the river to make sure they understand the importance by having it listed first. Okay, so then I would just continue to add things to it. First I added some buildings, and then again, Prezi allows me to zoom in so I can take a look at those buildings a little bit closer, and this gives the students a chance to see the pictures. At this point I could talk a little bit about the manor house and the architecture, point out the blacksmith and give examples of what he does. I can go up to the bakehouse and get a closer look, giving them an example of what the bread kind of looks like, maybe crack a few jokes about how it looks like it's about as soft as a rock. Alright, and then the fourth item that I have up here is the mill, and this goes along with the river because it needs the water power to turn that wheel to make flour, which is a very important part of the Manor system. And then just again to show you a couple other things, I would show the students that they have a church, and then of course the graveyard looking pretty spooky. And then we zoom back out so we can get a good look at it once again, and then we start adding some more things. So we keep what we've already added, and then we have just added an orchard. Point that out for the students. And then there's also usually a forest at some point in the Manor system. And I would also talk about how they are on the outside of the Manor system, acting as kind of a barrier for protection against who knows what, wind, enemies, wild animals. Okay, and then we just continue to add more things to the Manor system. So with what we already had, we've now added the barn, and I would point out to the students that of course with a barn you're going to have animals, and they need a place to graze. And then also Manor systems would have a common pasture which would be shared by surrounding manors. And then we jump down here to see the village. One very important aspect of the manor is that the peasants who worked on the Manor system, essentially farming the land for the noble who would live in the manor house itself, they would actually live there. That was their home. They would live in a little village. We can kind of zoom in to see what their houses looked like roughly. Not very nice, especially compared to the manor. So that'd be something I would point out as well. And then the overall look, and then we go on to the next one, and quite possibly the most important part of the Manor system is what I saved for last, and that is the farming method. There's typically 3 fields in the Manor system, barley, wheat, and then 1 field would be left fallow, which means nothing would be there, and that'd give it a chance to rest and to rejuvenate the soil. I would point out that they would rotate these fields. It'd be a 3-field rotation. So each field would have a turn at being left fallow, so it would be allowed to kind of regain some of its fertileness. I'd also point out that the village of the peasants is very close to the fields. Again, the peasants would be working the land, so they would be living close to what they would be doing each day. As we zoom back out, I'd just take one last look at the Manor system for the kids to see the whole picture once again, and go from there. For this particular lesson, I'm going to have my students jot down what is in it and just kind of a rough idea of where things are located, and then in class we would then make those diagrams. So this is a flipped example lesson, and hope it helps.